online. I wish to appreciate Richer Hand for the innovations and the innovativeness that they bring in the space. And I'm sure as young people, we relate to this very well. I pray that this acts as the starting point and as an opening for Richer Hand Uganda to continuously engage with the university to deliver such information routinely to the students, as well as the products. We've talked about the condoms. I'm just coming from a meeting, a training for members of parliament, and they were very concerned equally, saying there are no condoms in university hostels and wherever, and they are concerned about the behaviors of the university students and this and that. So there is just a lot that we can do together. I particularly want to acknowledge Rahu for the Chadala film. I don't know how many of us here have watched Chadala. Anyone, by show of hands? Yes, at least I've seen 2, 3, 4, 5 hands. Wow, yes. I don't expect you to. Rahu, I don't expect you to raise up your hands. But the Chadala film is one of those innovations that Rahu has come up with that depicts a typical life of a university student. I would recommend that we all have a look at it. It speaks to the many risks and challenges that we go through as university students, but also the measures that we can undertake to actually protect ourselves. So I would recommend that for us. I don't know if we have that on the program for the students this afternoon. And then I also know about another intervention. I'm sure it's also in Makerere, the Own Your Future. Do we have anyone who knows about Own Your Future here in the room? Anyone? The guild team? Because I'm aware this is a student-led movement that also promotes sexual and reproductive health, education, and information, started by leaders, guild leaders, and I think the founder is from UCU, but it consists of student leadership. I think the outgoing guild should be aware that helps to mobilize the students to get involved in some of these activities. So I would like to thank all the stakeholders to ensure and also urge all the stakeholders that support work in higher and tertiary education institutions to ensure that we work together, because sometimes it's a bit confusing even for the institutions where you're going to have different partners come in at different times and sometimes doing the same thing. The O3 Plus Technical Working Group of Makerere, the expectation is that we will take charge of all work related to supporting students' sexual and reproductive health and rights needs. So for all the other partners that may want to offer a hand, because this is a huge task that we cannot say that Rahu, with support from UNESCO, we can finish. So all other partners can come on board. But I think what is most important is how do we harmonize and be able to utilize the little available resources to reach more students without duplicating. I want to wind up by thanking everybody that has managed to spare time to be here, and once again to thank the working group for making it to this day. And I end by a quote that leads us as UNESCO, that speaks about building peace in the minds of men and women because we know that the constructs of war are formed in the minds of men, and therefore, if we want to create peace, we still have to start creating the peace in our minds. Thank you.
That hand clap is a little bit selfish. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. And with that, may I take this opportunity to invite our guest of honor to speak to us. You're welcome, sir.
Members of management, Makerere University, our distinguished lecturers, our education partners, UNESCO, and Reach a Hand Uganda. Normally, I refer to them as Chadala. Members of the Technical Working Group, Makerere University, the Student Guild, the entire student community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I bring you warm greetings from Minister of Education and Sports, from the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Kataka-Museveni, from our line Minister, Honorable Dr. Jesse Muyingo, and from all the directors and commissioners at the Ministry of Education and Sports. As Haman has told you, my name is Peter Chozira. I'm a senior education officer in the Department of Admissions, Scholarships, and Student Affairs. I'm here to represent the Commissioner for Higher Education, particularly University Education and Training. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm profoundly honored to be here with you today as we launch the O3 Plus program together with South Plus University Activation. The O3 Plus, which I do believe you're already aware of, stands for our life, our rights, and our future. It is an initiative supported by UNESCO which seeks to ensure that young people in higher and tertiary education institutions realize positive health, education, and gender equality outcomes through sustained reductions in new HIV infections, unintended pregnancies, and sexual and gender-based violence. Ladies and gentlemen, the O3 Plus program implementation in Uganda is very timely, given the fact that young people in higher and tertiary education institutions face numerous challenges. As Teddy was telling us here of the baseline study, the percentages, normally I tell people that when you hear those percentages, behind that data they are human beings, people's daughters and sons. But when you hear that 75%, you hear 40%, at first you may just think it is just a number. But when you comprehend that behind those numbers, they are human beings, then you feel the urgency of doing something to change the status quo. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can here believe and agree that our young people are sexually active. And there is violence and sexual harassment among our students in higher and tertiary education institutions. The COVID-19 pandemic has already clearly provided classical evidence of lack of empowerment among our young people. And as a country, it is just more than urgent that we intensify our efforts in empowering our children, adolescents, and young people with correct, let us mark that one, correct, scientific, age-appropriate, and context-specific life-saving information about their lives and their health. The O3 Plus program is aligned to the other ministries' interventions, such as the National Sexuality Education Framework, which was launched in 2018. And this provides guidance on sexuality education and seeks to create overarching national direction for response in respect to sexuality education in the formal setting of educating young people in Uganda. It formed the blueprint in guiding teaching of age-appropriate and cultural and religious sensitive sexuality education in our schools. To date, young Ugandans are continuously exposed to sexual and reproductive health challenges, such as high cases of early marriages, teenage pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases including HIV and AIDS, and sexual and gender-based violence. As a ministry, we are glad that UNESCO has extended the O3 Plus program to cover higher education institutions. When UNESCO came with the idea, we are really excited and elated that at last there was a partner who had ventured into higher education. Ladies and gentlemen, I implore you to embrace this opportunity with both hands so that we can achieve the objectives of this program. As Minister of Education and Sports, we also wish to appreciate the Piety universities, their leadership and their administration, who have created space, provided an enabling environment, including delegating folk person to spearhead the program implementation. Please send our heartfelt gratitude to the management of the university. It is important that we work together as a team, collaborate with all different departments, colleges and schools to implement a well-coordinated program so as to save our young people. As Teddy was telling you, we need to coordinate so that we can maximize our effort. The ministry shall play its